कोई नहीं सर
आगे बढ़ो।
इसमें जिन जिन प्रकार आते हैं सांप भी गणेश भी जब हम दूध डालते हैं ना ऊपर से वहाँ से आता है गणेश का और सांप भी। हाँ बिल्कुल ये दर्शन होता है।
Namaste. It's 8 p.m. Sunday India time, and welcome to our program of Virat Hindustan Sangam, Gyan Ganga Words of Wisdom. And wishing all our Hindu friends a happy New Year. Most of the parts of the country celebrated the New Year yesterday, and some parts will be doing it on 14th, 15th of April. So we at Virat Hindustan Sangam had a unique opportunity with Dr. Subramanian Swamy to celebrate the Kashmiri New Year Navre at Srinagar at the Hari Parbat sacred temple of Sarika Devi. So it was a great event which Virat Hindustan Sangam and our Kashmiri friends, well-wishers and other groups organized in Kashmir in Srinagar, and Dr. Swamy and VHS members from all over the country, friends, well-wishers, Hindu families from outside and as well as in Srinagar and Jammu came for this function. So it was a historical event. Dr. Swamy climbed 110 steps to the sacred shrine and was with the Hindu friends at Srinagar. Today's program, we are going to be discussing Kashmir, are we close to peace and normalcy? And Dr. Swamy, in the next 45 minutes to an hour, we all will be discussing this issue. It was a pleasure to have Arvind Chaturvedi yesterday also with us and other VHS leaders for this program. And I'm grateful to the VHS and the Kashmiri Friends team in Kashmir that helped us organize this event. And each one of them, it will be too long list to name, but all of them contributed in some way or the other. Some VHS members, some JKP's forum, and other members, even BJP members, the Sangh Parivar, directly, indirectly helped us yesterday's program. So before we discuss, I am thankful to my co-host Ramesh Swamy and Sri Arvind Chaturvedi for their Sunday help in putting this broadcast or telecast together, and the technical team which is led by Ashish Shetty, Tejas Navalgol, Vishal Mehta, Ishwar Iyer, Gadgi Rakesh, Ajesh Nair, Swamy Lion and others for their background support for all these days. As you know, virtually it is the second year we have completed, the second year anniversary of our program. We started on Ram Navami Day on the 2nd of April during the COVID in 2020, and today is our 152 episodes. Earlier we had an avatar of a daily program, then we converted into a weekly program. So today is the 152nd episode, and we will be discussing Kashmir. So without much words, it is over to Dr. Swamy to initiate this discussion, and then Ramesh Swamy, Arvind Chaturvedi, and myself will be discussing and even taking some questions from the viewers, which comes in the form of in the chat box. Over to Dr. Swamy for the discussion on Kashmir. Are we close to peace and normalcy? And Dr. Swamy, after you meeting a lot of Kashmiri Pandits, some Muslim groups, some political leaders in your one-day program in Kashmir yesterday, that was Saturday, the 2nd of April 2022, you will be in a better position to tell us your views on the subject. Over to Dr. Swamy.
Thank you, Jagdish. Of course, except for Ramesh, who lives in United States, all the others in today's Gyan Ganga as part of the VHS were before the screen were all there. So all of you can contribute. So I will first take 25 to 30 minutes just placing the issue in the current perspective. That is not just go through the old history and all that. Some of it may be necessary here and there, which I'll bring in a oblique way. First of all, I'd like to say that the deity was actually first given the form. It is really Shiva and Parvati. But they were given this form with a different name in Tibet, and then from Tibet somehow it came to Kashmir, and the temple there that we went is Mata Sharika Devi's, and she's very powerful god, and you have to really climb up, as you all saw, and therefore for 32 years, the government did not permit puja to take place. Even when I accompanied all the bhaktas and got puja done, for the first time in 32 years, the actual temple is still under lock and key of the government. So I'll have to make another trip with my friends and colleagues of VHS next time to do puja inside the temple also, and therefore that we have to do. Kashmir's character is for a number of centuries, large number of centuries, it was a Hindu, and then Buddhist, then Islamic, then Sikhs, and then Dogras. The last, I think, 100 years was Dogras, and the Dogra king Hari Singh handed over the entire state under the article of what is called the Instrument of Accession, and this was designed during the proceedings of the House of Commons in Britain when they debated the Indian Independence Act, wherein they created a Pakistan where out of majority areas in this Indian subcontinent, and then of course later on Bangladesh decided to separate. So now there are two countries, and at the same time the English did something which is peculiar, and most people think it is because they wanted to create problems. They declared 600 kingdoms as independent countries. They said they were working under our oversight. There was a British regent associated with the king, but the kings the kingdoms were never merged into British India. British India consisted of areas which one can say is about two-thirds of what was the undivided India. And after the debate took place in the House of Commons to divide into Hindu areas and Muslim areas, and in fact the object was that to create a Hindu India and a Muslim Pakistan. And that is what Ambedkar, and of course Ambedkar, who was the mover in the Constituent Assembly, said that there should be population exchange also. But this was not accepted, and we took the stand that those Muslims who want to stay in India, they can stay in India. And so from 12% at the time of partition, now it's about 13.5%. Some people say 15, but according to my expert calculation based on the 2011 census, I would say it's about 13.5%. That population. And the Hindu population, when the constitution says that you are thinking of a Hindu population constitutionally, you should include in the Hindu definition Buddhists also, Sikhs also, and Jains also. And so this was very clearly stated in the constitution. But for religious purpose and upasana paddhati and so on, we will hold Sikhs as a distinct separate religion, so as the Buddhists and so as the Jains. But they all were born in India. Christianity and Islam, that was not born in India. They came from outside as part of the conquests of various parts of India. We have Jews also, we have Zoroastrians, but they came as refugees. And then they prospered here, and many stayed, and some, of course, the Parsis have totally merged with the Hindus. And they, in fact, when they were received by the Shankaracharya of Kanchi, Shankaracharya of Dwarka, when they ran away from Persia to escape Islamic terror, and they said, they gave it in writing, that we will follow five principles. Principle one, we will speak only Gujarati. We will not speak Persian henceforth. So all Parsis only speak Gujarati. They may have come from Persia, but they don't speak Persian. Two, they said they will dress like Gujaratis. So they dress, most of the Parsis and all, especially nowadays, even the modern generation, during special occasions like wedding or the celebration of a religious festival of the Parsis, they wear saris. So they and the men also, they wear pajama, dhoti type dress with a pagdi and all that. So Parsis are more or less merged, but they are a distinct religion. They're yes, they're gathas, as they're called, written by the ancient Parsis. They have a lot of commonality, and even in our Ramayana, Kaikeyi was originally from Iran. And when Rama was going off on his Vanvas, Bharat and Shatrughan were governors of two provinces bordering Afghanistan and Persia. So therefore, and then of course the Islamic invasion, and Christians are very small, 2% or so. Now, what I'm saying is, as far as Kashmir is concerned, it was ruled by Hindus for the longest period. Then it was ruled by Muslims. Then it was ruled by the Sikhs and the Dogras. So almost all these communities have to be kept together. And one major wrong that took place, in fact, it's comparable to what happened in Germany during Hitler's rule. And that was the Kashmiri Pandits, who are mostly scholars, teachers, government officials, judges, wherever, an educational aspect was there, the Pandits were in the forefront. And obviously, these terrorists from Pakistan and other places, they felt that this community will never let us have Darul Islam. It is where Islam rules, and therefore target them. And it was done, essentially facilitated during the period, according to my research. This is new research because I haven't seen it anywhere else, and it's controversial, going to be controversial because the people will disown it. It was done when Chief Minister was Farooq Abdullah, and the Prime Minister was VP Singh, and the Home Minister was Mufti Said. Now, according to the records that I got to see, which is still not in the public domain, Farooq totally protested this idea of targeting the Kashmiri Pandits. And then, of course, he went along because these people are in the center. Whether that was right or wrong, I won't go into it. But to blame Farooq as responsible for releasing, by the way, releasing of criminals from the jails in large numbers, which was done in '89, was done essentially at the orders of the VP Singh government. And I regret to say, people say I'm saying it because of bias and all that, but I have to tell you the truth as the history. It was the party, the formation of Janata Dal government of VP Singh was supported by the BJP at that time, and in the governing council of that government, Atal Bihari Vajpayee represented the BJP. And on this issue, and sending Jagmohan, well, Jagmohan is a fine person on all that, I'm not objecting. I'm just saying sending of Jagmohan is an issue. But I would say that the whole thing was done during VP Singh's time. And can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can. Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay, let me come in. So then the thing is that, yeah, now I can see myself. So VP Singh's time this happened. Then VP Singh time another thing happened. Mufti Muhammad Saeed, the Home Minister of India, his elder daughter was kidnapped by the JKLF. I'm telling you this because how policies can be change the integrity of a country. And the JKLF afterwards demanded 5 terrible criminals convicted in jail to be released. Mufti Saeed agreed. VP Singh agreed. Vajpayee agreed. And by the time they began, releasing them, the demand of these JKLF started going up. It went up to 13, and 13 were released. And this looked like a sort of a created act that you kidnap the daughter. And the daughter, by the way, all kinds of, well, I don't want to go into it. She's not in politics, but she lives, I'm told, in Tamil Nadu, doing diamond business or something like that. I don't know, but she's living in Tamil Nadu. And this whole act, that is what created the killings of the Kashmiri Pandit. Now, in 1990, Chandrasekhar was formed Prime Minister because Rajiv Gandhi and I got together saying that this VP Singh government is anti-national, we can't allow it to go. Chandrasekhar agreed to collaborate. We made him Prime Minister. I became the senior most minister with the 2 ministries. One was Commerce and the other was Law and Justice. And in our time also, Saifuddin Sose's daughter was kidnapped by the JKLF. And that time in the Cabinet Committee on Political Affairs, which is the apex body of the Cabinet, subcommittee of the Cabinet, we decided, under my urging and Chandrasekhar's support on it, I must say, and even Rajiv Gandhi from outside supported the idea, no one will be released. And we found out the same JKLF has done it. And then it was decided that the Prime Minister will work through Nawaz Sharif, who was the Prime Minister of Pakistan, and at that time he was in China. And I had gone to China at that time in the first week of February to sign the first ever trade agreement between India and China, which the Chinese are refusing all through throughout the 1980s. So there was a goodwill and all that, and the climate was good. And so Prime Minister got Nawaz Sharif on the phone, and Nawaz Sharif then gave instructions, help India to get him ready. So this was one major factor. But I also did my own. I mean, I was permitted to do it. To take my own initiatives. So I contacted a friendly country, whose name I will not give, but it's on the west side of India, and they took us to meet the JKLF vice president, treasurer, and general secretary, who were living in Britain, one in Leicestershire, one in Nottinghamshire, like that. And there, with that friendly country's diplomatic staff present, we told them, our people told these people, release this lady, or else I'm sorry to say that all those JKLF people we have got, will eliminate all of them, and we'll do some horrible things to you. In fact, uh, the friendly countries representative said, we can even bump you off here, and don't worry, our country has got so much influence in Britain and nobody will raise their voice. These are all some things I can't yet document for you, but when I write my autobiography, I put it all in with full documentation. So what happened is the JKLF took this lady. I'm saying this in the background because the terror that was created against Kashmiri Pandits, you must know, it was a purely artificial one. If the government was strong, nothing would have happened. So they picked this lady, they took this lady, put her in an auto rickshaw, drove to Saifuddin So's house and dropped her there. Anybody can ask Saifuddin So, he's still around. He is now, I think, perhaps in Congress. And his son is perhaps an office bearer, Saifuddin So. They all know that this is what Chandrasekhar government did. After the whole thing was over, then Chandrasekhar, a bit large, I said, thoda kuch to de de, ek aadmi ko chhod de. So we looked for somebody who had no charges against him. And he was an old man of 73, he was in hospital. So we released him and made a big, it said, okay, don't do it again, but this time we are releasing this man. So I'm saying that actually the exodus started, or forced exodus, or genocide started with VP Singh's government. After they they released all these people, then created this panic about of kidnapping of the Home Minister's daughter, and to then leave 13 people, the most dangerous of them. And all these horrible things that have happened in the last 30 years are due to that folly. Now we have come to a complete command of the situation, thanks to removing of Article 370. All this mythology of 370 is over. Even this mythology of UN should be put an end. Jawaharlal Nehru went to the UN and filed a petition saying that Pakistan has committed aggression against India, and the UN decided to hear the matter. Why did he go? It was our territory and the Pakistanis had walked into it. That's aggression. What is there to go? Just tell the Security Council, ask the Pakistanis to withdraw. Why should you go and talk it, make it out that we have a dispute with Pakistan and Kashmir, which is what Jawaharlal Nehru did. Did he ask Sardar Patel? No. Was it a part of the cabinet proceeding? No. It was never put before the cabinet. Jawaharlal Nehru took it straight to the UN and put Krishna Menon in charge. So I'm saying, and also the UN decided Pakistan is the aggressor, so they must withdraw all their troops. And when they withdraw all the troops, then India must reduce its troops in this area in Kashmir. And then if these two steps are taken, then we will hold a plebiscite. This is what the UN said. Pakistan never withdrew its forces. They are still sitting in Azad Kashmir. so-called Azad Kashmir, Pakistan occupied Kashmir. So this resolution passed in 1950 is now, even if you give it any legitimacy, dead as a dodo. When I was minister, I told Chandrasekhar, let us withdraw it and say, no, this was never passed in the cabinet, it is illegal. We don't. But Chandrasekhar said, अभी तो आए हैं भाई, तुम सब एक साथ करने चाहते हो. So he wanted some time, but then our government didn't last. Chandrasekhar and Rajiv Gandhi had a fight and the government fell. So I'm saying the second uncertainty, first uncertainty was what? 371, gone. Two, and of course their so-called separate constitution, all that gone. And even the separate constitution, by the way, said that in the first preamble, Jammu Kashmir is an integral part of India. There never been any confusion on that. And when Sheikh Abdullah wanted to introduce this 370 in the constitution, Ambedkar refused. He said, I'm not a traitor. What will I do? I will never agree to this. So then Jawaharlal Nehru got hold of Sardar Patel and told him, say, this has just gone to the UN, please give me some time, cool down the tempers of our people in the Constituent Assembly who are saying, no, we won't agree, Ambedkar has made it worse. So Sardar Patel went and said, this is temporary. And we'll put it as a temporary clause in the Constitution, which can be removed by the President by a signature, not by Parliament vote, not necessary. This took me 10 years to convince our people. When I first told in 2014 to Mr. Narendra Modi that you don't need Parliament's approval, because he's saying there was a Rajya Sabha majority nahi hai. So you don't need it. Just need the President's signature. It's over. And it took us such a long time, and by 2019 they got convinced. And then that's exactly what we did. Got President's signature and then presented Parliament. And Parliament anyway supported it because we had majority. Now, so 370 gone. And now, so this is now the third thing we have to do is, I mean, I'm keeping bringing back Kashmiri Pandits as the last issue. The third thing we have to do is, so the first thing I said, withdraw this petition from the UN, remove 370. Then the third thing is we should attack at the appropriate moment POK and take it over. I've spoken to, when I was a member of the Parliamentary Committee on Defense, I had a lot of interaction with defense people. They said, just give us the order, we'll do it. Even last time, they said in 1947, we went right up to Muzaffarabad and we were about to take it over. And then this Jawaharlal Nehru went and got this resolution. So we had to withdraw it. So that's how POK went into the hands of Pakistan, along with Gilgit and Baltistan or whatever it was. So we must tell Pakistan, give up this. Now why should our parliament agree? Because in 1994, Narasimha Rao moved a resolution in both houses of parliament that we shall not rest till every inch of India, and the map was circulated, which included not only POK, but it included Aksai Chin also, and said, no, every inch of Indian territory in foreign occupation is retrieved. We shall not rest. And this is a parliament resolution. And this was passed in 1994. Narasimha Rao was quite a man, no? I mean, nobody gave him recognition till we came and gave him the. I don't know whether we have given a Bharat Ratna yet to him, but we should have. But anyway, so the third thing, as I said, we must do is take over POK, and later on Aksai Chin also. Can we do it? Of course you do it. You have to prepare for it. You have manpower, but you need modern weapons. And it's another subject, but I'll just make a side crack, as they say. Russian equipment cannot be good enough for that. You have to get from the Americans, but you don't have to be ally of the Americans. You just say to the Americans, we share your opinion about the aggressiveness of China, and we condemn what Putin has done to Ukraine. That's all that needs to be done. You will get all the weapons you want from the Americans, which Pakistan has got in good measure, but you can get even more because of the respect at the level of the people for Indians who have shown in software, in academics, in so medicine, so many other places. The Indians have a very high respect and we are a democracy. That's been a big factor. So, third thing that we need to do now. I also think that the Pakistan. You can see what's happening in their parliament is all a bit joke. I can't even believe the kinds of things that are happening there. There's no majority, and the fellow passes a resolution saying they're dissolving the house and said hold elections. So now they're going to Supreme Court. I don't know what's going to happen. This looks like a comedy, if you ask me. I think Pakistan is reached a state when originally we reached a state when we had to make it into two. But I think somewhere we have to do this. We have to make it into four. Baluchis have been itching and asking us for years and years, please allow. We never wanted to be part of Pakistan. We never agreed. There was no instrument accession, nothing. And these people are suffocating us. We can make them separate. Sindh also wants to be separate, and Pakhtunistan also wants to be separate. So only West Pakistan, that is the part which is West Punjab, given to Pakistan is there. So that is another. So now, in order, there are two things left, and I'll conclude. One is that we need to hold elections. You see, it's fine now. Our bureaucracy, our IB, our CRP, our BSF, our military, they have all done a first-class job. They have brought peace. And we will now start building the temples, renovating them, releasing them. There's the Sharda Devi thing which was built by Adi Shankara himself. And that's what is in POK. Once we get POK, we can build it. And many temples have been demolished. We'll build all of them again without the hesitation. And the thing to do is to bring back. The Pandits to the valley. Why? Of course, they are the original representative. They were there before the so-called most of the Muslims anyway by DNA are only Kashmiri Pandits, but they were forcibly converted and so on. So I'm saying they have to come. Number two, but more important, they are doctors, teachers, lawyers, judges. I mean, the whole setup, a democratic setup, which needs its checks and balances. The Pandits are the ones who are been providing that. And therefore they've been docile because they were middle class. They don't pick up a gun. And they can't, and they should not also. Why should they? It's the job of the state to protect them. So they must come back so that schools can start. I have met some people in Srinagar very briefly who told me, sir, please open our schools and our colleges, and we want to go back to normal life. So that can only be done when you get an administration of intelligent people, and the Kashmiri Pandits are there. There are some who are now living very well in America. Ask them to come and build universities here, facilitate them and so on. So, but you have to bring back the Kashmiri Pandits only when you can assure them that they are safe. The same perfidy will not happen. That is what happened in 1989, 1990. And the only way I think you can help them or make them feel secure is we have, all our army men and BSF men and all that retire very early, 45, 50. and then they get good pensions. But there's from 50 now people live easily to 90 without difficulty, and so they're just wasting their training, talent, and so on. So those almost a crore of them say select 100,000 and tell them, are you ready to go and live for 5 years in Kashmir? We will provide you everything. We'll provide you a house. We will provide you a very decent salary. We'll provide you weapons. And your only job is not to maintain law and order, but protect the Kashmiri Pandits. You get one phone call from any Kashmiri Pandit, immediately you rush there and support them. And I asked the Kashmiri Pandits, will this make you secure? They said, yes, it will definitely make us very secure. To ask us to go to the police or go to the court with a lawyer who charges fees and all, is a big headache. So I think this kind of, and of course we must help all the Kashmiri Pandits to recover their houses if they've been taken over, if they've been demolished, to build it for them, and thereby bring them back. There were, a total of 400,000 people. But then the educational system, the bureaucracy, and the court, everything will be benefited. And so that's why Kashmiri Pandits, not only to undo injustice, but to make Kashmir a viable working state. We have to do this. And the final point is that we need democracy, and for that we have to have elections. And I'm giving you my personal view. Many of you may not like it, but I have studied the issues. I've been through Jagmohan's books, and I've now come to the conclusion that Farooq was framed in the attack on the Kashmiri Pandits, or the whatever. He let out, and this is in government records, he let out all the criminals on direction from VP Singh government. And so I think he is a name. His son is also as a name. His son was in fact part of the NDA in 1998. I know him well. He's a highly educated person. And Farooq is also a very smart doctor. He was many years in London, and he's the son of Sheikh Abdullah. And this is a political family which is known in the lengths and breadths and so on. So you have to persuade him to participate in the democratic process. And my personal view is, without BJP, I don't think that we can risk a coalition government. And BJP alone is out of the question given the situation of our demography. But I think in combination with a person like Farooq, we can form a government, and it won't be like Mehbooba in the night consulting with the terrorists, in the daytime consulting with Modi, coming here, sitting with them. And we all doing propaganda. Oh, we are combining Muslims and Hindus. She was never by heart with us. And the moment we removed the government, you see where she is. She's told every day attacking us. There's no use our attacking because what do you mean? I mean, what's the point in attacking you? You, with your eyes open, you went and you gave her 2-3 years of managing the government. We need to do something positive, and that is bring in democracy. People want democracy. I can understand that. Everybody wants democracy, and that's the way for normalcy to come back. And my opinion is that we should persuade Farooq to come forward and be part of the thing. And I certainly think that with his experience, he could be projected as a chief minister, and then the elections take place. This is the way for bringing peace and thing. The fulcrum is the injustice to the Kashmiri Pandits has to be undone, and they must feel secure, and then they must become part of the establishment of Kashmir. and help in running high courts and secretariats and schools and medical colleges and everything, and for which they'll be very useful. And those who have done extremely well in America, they should come and build institutions, and we should support them and not give them red tape. This is the way to go forward. And thank you for the time you have given me, but all of you are equally well informed. So over to you, Jagdish. Let's proceed ahead.
Dr. Swamy,
Yeah.
yesterday we saw, and you are right, that the situation is that in Jammu, perhaps from what we hear reports and the past performance, BJP can do extremely well. But the fact is that the assembly consists of both uh, Jammu and part of Kashmir. Now, Ladakh, if I'm right, is separated. So, as far as Kashmir part is concerned, the valley part is concerned, there we must have some alliance partners. And you just, in your part of your thing, just expressed your view as far as this thing is concerned, that it has to be with some party, because the fact is that as far as we Hindus or BJP is concerned, our presence in terms of winnability in the Kashmir Valley is very low. But the fact is that in democracy, one needs numbers and one needs majority. So basically, what you are trying to say, if I'm trying to phrase it, is that we need to, BJP party needs to team up with at least one Muslim majority party to form a government. Is that impression correct, what I'm getting from you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't think BJP can do it alone. And BJP needs to be in the administration. Therefore, they must be part of the coalition government. And having known Farooq and his son for, 30, 40 years, I can tell you that if there's a man who can speak the democratic language if properly encouraged and not pushed into a corner, is Farooq. And there's nobody who has that kind of readiness to accept in India. Sometimes he even sings Vande Mataram suddenly somewhere, or he recites singing. He tells me that I am also a Kashmiri Pandit because we have descended from Hindus. I mean, for him to say this, in the heart of Kashmir is something really big. So I don't think that he is a fanatical Muslim, and I don't think that we want fanaticism of any kind, whether Muslims or Hindus. And therefore, I think, and then of course, we must also cultivate and bring forward and promote Sikhs, who are a big factor in things. And you remember we went to a restaurant where a Punjabi who runs that restaurant, I forget the name of the restaurant, Jagdish might remember. He has a
Arora,
phenomenal
Mr.
uh,
Keval Arora.
care of. He throughout he stayed there, even when all the killings of Hindus were going on. And what a restaurant he runs, and how delicious are the food he serves, and he's in a position. So we want such people also in the non-political area, and he should be encouraged. He should be supported. He should be his work, his contribution to society should be publicized. So this is the way to do it. We have now reached a stage of mending the society, which had been fractured by Islamic fundamentalists.
Before we move on, Dr. Swamy, another question is, whatever happened with our Kashmiri Hindu Pandits, do you think a commission of inquiry should be set up to probe all these charges? What are your views on that?
Yeah, I would certainly think a genocide commission is necessary because it was genocide. What happened? I won't even hear it. It breaks your heart. You see, I didn't go and see that film, Kashmiri film. What is Kashmiri? What is it? The latest one,
File,
which is
Kashmiri file. Very
Files.
nice
I don't
film.
want to say it. I know what has happened. I don't want to see a film to educate me on this. I feel bad that we couldn't do anything. You see, Now we are BJP, we are in thing, at least we have taken one small step, and that is remove 370, but we have not gone forward after that. We will need to go forward and now bring about the necessary changes to bring Kashmir as emotionally a part of India. Look at how many people have turned up. Just one announcement that you can come to Kashmir as a tourist. I mean, what crowds are there? And the local people were so happy. He said, "Now at least we have started earning. Please see that this doesn't ever get stopped. We'll cooperate with anybody." In the conference, in the public meeting we held, Jagdish, you may remember how many
Yeah.
Muslims were gone on the came on the stage and apologized that yes, we were wrong in keeping quiet when this was going on, and this will never happen again. So, of course, to bring about the Kashmiri Pandits' fear, to put an rest to the Kashmiri fear, we need this temporary arrangement of 100,000 ex-servicemen to look after their security.
Arvind and Ramesh ji.
Yeah, Dr. Swamy, I would start from your last point.
Arvind,
And when
हिंदी
you
में
said,
बोलिए.
डॉक्टर
हिंदी
स्वामी,
में
मैं आपने जो अंतिम बात कही है मैं वहां से शुरुआत करता हूं. आपने दो बातें आखिरी में कही. पहली बात तो ये कि कल की जो मीटिंग थी, पब्लिक मीटिंग नवरे त्योहार को मनाने के लिए, उसमें जितने मुस्लिम लोगों ने भाग लिया, ये बहुत महत्वपूर्ण था. और आपने बिल्कुल सही बिंदु पे हाथ रखा है कि जितने भी मुस्लिम वक्ता कल की मीटिंग में बोल रहे थे, सबने सार्वजनिक रूप से माफी मांगते हुए कहा कि जो कुछ हुआ वो हमारी गलती थी. हम इस गलती को स्वीकार करते हैं कि हम उस समय चुप थे. अब आगे हम हिंदू बंधुओं को वादा करते हैं कि आगे से कभी ऐसा उनके साथ नहीं होगा और हम उनके साथ शाना व शाना, मतलब कंधे से कंधा मिलाकर खड़े रहेंगे. ये बात एक नहीं कई वक्ताओं ने की. पहली बात. दूसरी बात आपने की कि जो लोग खुश हैं वो है कि उनकी आमदनी बढ़ रही है टूरिस्ट के आने से. मैं आपको कुछ आंकड़े बताता हूं. 2 साल पेंडेमिक की वजह से कश्मीर वाज ब्लीडिंग. कश्मीर के लोग बहुत परेशान थे. उनके पास कोई उद्योग नहीं है, उनके पास एम्प्लॉयमेंट अपॉर्चुनिटीज नहीं है. टूरिज्म एक अकेला एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेशन है जो उनको पैसा देता है, प्रॉस्पेरिटी देता है. 2 साल से पेंडेमिक की वजह से लोग नहीं आ रहे थे. और जब से भारत सरकार ने 1400 करोड़ रुपए का अनुदान टूरिज्म डिपार्टमेंट को दिया है 1.5 साल पहले, उससे बहुत फर्क पड़ा है. और उससे क्या फर्क पड़ा है कि पिछले 6 महीने के अंदर 6 लाख से ज्यादा टूरिस्ट कश्मीर में पहुंचे हैं. मैं पिछले हफ्ते 2 बार गया, कल के अलावा 1 बार और गया. और इसके पहले आपके साथ 2013 में हम लोग गए थे. लाल चौक पे हमने मीटिंग की थी, जनता पार्टी की राष्ट्रीय कार्यकारिणी की मीटिंग की थी. तो 2013 और 2022 का जब मैं मिलान करता हूं, तुलना करता हूं, तो देखता हूं कि कितना फर्क है. लोगों की भावनाओं में फर्क है, लोगों के जो विचार है उनके मन में फर्क है, और लोगों में जो उत्साह पैदा हो रहा है. हिंदू और मुस्लिम लगभग 50 फ्लाइट रोजाना श्रीनगर उतर रही हैं. और पिछले जो आंकड़े बताते हैं कि 1280 फ्लाइट रोजाना 1 महीने में जम्मू पहुंचती हैं और 2048 फ्लाइट श्रीनगर पहुंचती है. और खिल्लन मर्ग हो, गुलमर्ग हो, पहलगाम हो, 1-1 लाख टूरिस्ट एक हफ्ते में पहुंच रहे हैं वहां पे. तो जाहिर है कि इन सब इन्फ्लक्स जो टूरिस्ट का है, इससे लोगों की आमदनी में फर्क पड़ेगा. और लोगों की आमदनी में फर्क पड़ेगा. ये वहां के लोकल जो स्थानीय मुस्लिम मेजॉरिटी के लोग हैं वो भी यही चाहते हैं कि उनकी आमदनी बढ़े. और जब हम पीस और नॉर्मलसी की बात करते हैं, जो हमारा आज का विषय है कि इस कश्मीर रिटर्निंग टू नॉर्मलसी, Kashmir will only return to normalcy once the prosperity starts coming up there for the people and people start earning, which is only possible right now through tourism. And this is what is happening. I've spoken to so many people in the government departments, government staff members, private drivers, workers and all that. हर एक का यही कहना था कि बहुत अच्छी शुरुआत आप कर रहे हैं. और डॉक्टर स्वामी, आपके आने से शुरुआत तो पहले हो चुकी थी, लेकिन आपके आने से उसमें जो बल मिला है, जो उत्साह लोगों में पैदा हुआ है, उस उत्साह पैदा होने से मैं बता रहा हूं कि आने वाले दिनों में जो कश्मीरी पंडित के अलावा जितने भी पूरे हिंदुस्तान से टूरिस्ट जा रहे हैं, एक माहौल बन रहा है, और उस माहौल बनने से नॉर्मलसी की तरफ हम बिल्कुल बढ़ रहे हैं। और आखिरी बात मैं कहना चाहता हूं कि जो नॉर्मलसी के लिए और जो चाहिए, एक राजनीतिक स्थिरता चाहिए, पॉलिटिकल स्टेबिलिटी। Political stability can come only through an elected government. You rightly said, जब तक डीलिमिटेशन पूरा नहीं होगा तब तक चुनाव वहां नहीं होंगे। जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी का डीलिमिटेशन होना है उसको जल्दी से जल्दी पूरा किया जाना चाहिए, ताकि हम डेमोक्रेटिक रास्ते से चुनी हुई सरकार जम्मू कश्मीर को दे सकें, और लोगों में एक पॉलिटिकल स्टेबिलिटी की भावना भी साथ। सो प्रॉस्पेरिटी and political stability. These two things, I'm sure, within 1 year, Kashmir can return to normal situation.
एक ही बात मैं जोड़ूंगा बिफोर रमेश कम्स ऑन द हिज पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू। मैं कहता हूं कि जब आप टूरिज्म डेवलप करते हैं तो फिर इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर को भी डेवलप करना होगा ना। तो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर से ही आप जान लीजिए कि एक नया आधुनिक कश्मीर बनेगा। ये जो कभी लोग इसको हंसी मजाक करने चाहते हैं, अरे तुम टूरिस्ट डेवलप करके बट वहाँ के लोग क्या बनेंगे, वही यानी फूल बेचेंगे और सब्जी बेचेंगे। नहीं, इसके साथ इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बनेगी, नए नए रोड्स लगेंगे, फिर रेलवेज यानी बिछाएंगे और नए नए एयरपोर्ट्स खोलेंगे। तो इस तरह के सारे से एक आधुनिकता यानी एक आधुनिक कश्मीर बनेगी, और उसमें जो नौकरी पैदा होगी यानी ये भी बहुत होगी, क्योंकि इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर जब आप करते हो तो नौकरी बहुत बढ़ती है। तो गरीबी जो है कश्मीर में इस अप्रत्यक्ष रास्ते से, मैं नहीं कहता हूँ यानी सब्जी वाला को जरूर मिलेगी, फूल बेचने वाला को जरूर पैसा मिलेगी, बट मैं कहता हूँ कि सारी समाज के लिए अप्रत्यक्ष रूप से विकास होगा।
जी, और लोगों में की सुरक्षा भावना भी आ रही है। रमेश, जस्ट वन मोर मिनट। मैं अगेन 2013 और 2022 की तुलना कर रहा हूँ। हमें याद है कि जब हमने लाल चौक पर मीटिंग की थी, सिक्योरिटी वाले इतने अधिक थे कि उन्होंने हमें लाल चौक पर ज्यादा देर रुकने नहीं दिया था, और तुरंत कहा था नहीं बाप आप मीटिंग करिए, मीटिंग करके गाड़ी में बैठिए और गाड़ी में बैठ के आप एयरपोर्ट जाइए। और मैं और जगदीश दो तीन दिन पहले जब श्रीनगर गए थे कल के अलावा, तो हमने लाल चौक पे आराम से वहां पे घूमे, देखा, लोगों से बात की, सब कुछ किया। तो एक आजादी का भाव जो वहां पे है, ये निश्चित तौर पे एक बदलाव की तरफ संकेत करता है। रमेश।
Yes, thank you. Dr. Swamy, I have 3 questions. The first one I'll preface. In last year in January 2021, Modi met all-party meeting of Kashmir. He completely ignored, I mean, a lot of people, there was complaint that he ignored parties from Jammu. Essentially, what's happening, the reason why I'm asking this, there's one very important question that one of the viewers asked was, what has happened to Panun Kashmir? Is that still valid?
No, see, okay, is that the question?
Yes.
There were more questions?
One was basically ignoring.
We'll go one by one. Okay.
Yes. Okay. First, the part was they completely ignored the parties from Jammu.
See, no, there's no question of ignoring parties from Jammu. The developments that take place will also be applicable to Jammu.
Okay.
And you have a very fine central minister, Jitendra Singh, who is not originally from within the Jansang ranks, but he's a highly experienced person, very educated, and he's been excellent minister in our government here in Delhi. So Jammu in fact will become relief when all these there are lots of Kashmiri refugees still in squalid circumstances in Jammu. If they go back to Kashmir, it will be helpful. What I am saying is that Panun Kashmir was, I was supported it at that time. I'm talking about the 1980s. The Kashmiris said we are too afraid to go back. But if you create an enclosure, then we are willing to go and live in that enclosure. Everything should be there. Schools should be there. Shops should be there. laundry should be there, everything should be there. So small cities should be created and we'll live there. And that should be completely sealed off from the rest of Kashmir. Now, in my opinion, that will destroy the concept of Kashmir. And okay, at that time, that seemed to be the only correct proposal, and I supported it. But then, after we came to power and 370 went, then I began to feel why we should be in ghettos. I mean, these are glorified ghettos where people are only living amongst themselves. We think that the whole of Kashmir is a part of India, and we should develop it as India. And after I saw the conference yesterday, where Muslims came forward in a public meeting and climbed the stairs, the stage, and said, "We are sorry, but please don't isolate us." Uh, so they have some concerns too. We'll address that. If there's a Muslim leadership, that can be addressed. So Panun Kashmir is a too restricted a concept now for success. It's a wonderful idea that began where people began talking about going back and what structure should be created for going back. Now I'm giving you the total structure where you don't have to live in your ghettos, you don't have to be afraid of Muslims. You can live a normal life like we in the rest of India. We have no problem mingling with Muslims and talking with Muslims and having them work with us. We have got in BJP ministers who are Muslims. So this phobia must go. We are, after all said and done, a harmonious society, and therefore this harmonious society should also be reflected in Kashmir.
Dr. Swamy, don't you think the success, your strategy of getting people back into Kashmir also has a very important way where we take care of Pakistan? Because a lot of the disturbance that comes now, sadly enough, is being influenced. So why can't, which is a very simple decision, given that Pakistan, as you predicted exactly 2 years ago, it's going to go, Imran Khan is nothing but a puppet, is just getting played out today as we speak. You had predicted this exactly when he came to power. He says nothing but a puppet. He'll get kicked out very soon by ISI, and that's exactly what's happening. Why can you can't start one process because the other side is going to keep leaking, and you're going to continue to poison it. So why can't we do that? Basically, that's going to be the first step. Is basically taking over POK or doing something on that side. You can't fix one side of the leak if you don't fix the other side. Don't you think?
You want me to answer in Hindi or English?
Hindi.
All right. देखिए, जहाँ तक पाकिस्तान है, उस समय मैं कह रहा था कि ये जो इनकी जो प्रधानमंत्री हैं, ये तो एक बफून है, उसको तो कोई सीरियसली लेता नहीं है। और चपरासी कहा था मैंने आर्मी का, तो वैसे ही हुआ है। एक दिन आर्मी को पसंद नहीं आया, या जाओ, उसका कहीं नहीं है। अब थोड़ा इधर उधर गिमिक से वो थोड़ा डिले होगा, सुप्रीम कोर्ट में क्या होता है देखते हैं। लेकिन पाकिस्तान का भविष्य यही है कि वो 4 टुकड़ा में जाएगा। सिंध में कोई संतुष्ट नहीं है। मेरे जान पहचान लोग बहुत हैं वहाँ, और वो कहते हैं कि बस हमें अलग से देश बना दीजिए। बलूचिस्तान को तो मुझे कहना ही नहीं है, वो तो यहाँ हमारे देश में, दिल्ली में इतने बलूचीज हैं, वो बता देंगे। उनको भी हमारा एक कर्तव्य है, क्योंकि हमने उनको प्रॉमिस किया था कब 1949 में कि हम आपकी रक्षा करेंगे। और पख्तूनिस तो लड़ाकू लोग हैं, तो वो तो इनके साथ, पंजाबियों के साथ नहीं रहने चाहते हैं। तो वेस्ट पंजाब रह जाएगी, तो रहने दीजिए, वेस्ट पंजाब को हम मैनेज कर लेंगे, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है। तो पाकिस्तान के बारे ज़्यादा चिंता करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, क्योंकि वो आत्महत्या करने के मूड में है और उनको देना चाहिए। अब वो रशिया के साथ और चाइना के साथ, ये रशिया का पागलपन भी हमारे देश में आज चल रही है, उसके लिए भी हम एक अलग से सेशन करेंगे। परंतु रशिया चाइना ने लगभग कर लिया, और अमेरिका, और किसी के, अमेरिका अपनी बचाव के लिए और कोई देश नहीं मिलेगा, सिर्फ इंडिया मिलेगी। उस समय हम देखेंगे। हमें अमेरिका की तरफ भागने की जरूरत नहीं है, क्योंकि अमेरिका हमारी तरफ भाग के आने वाली है। ये है पोजीशन।
The third and last question, after that Arvind can jump in. you said that I kind of agree with you as to why you feel that Farooq Abdullah is required into a large extent, because where Kashmir is today, Jammu and was the whole part of that, because you cannot just go on a pure Hindu party. It's not going to make it happen. We just have to be practical about this. But he also has a lot of things that, I mean, a lot of information that are on the news or whatever you want, articles, that he did not really support the Hindus when he was in power. He did not support. So how do we handle that how do we handle that part?
Hindus didn't support the Hindus. Tell me who stood up. Did BP Singh stand up? Did Atal Bihari Vajpayee stand up? Why we should now go back into? I am only seeing that yes, this is Farooq Abdullah is a modern man. We have worked with him in private. He the way he speaks about it, and I think of if you are, there's nobody else, just nobody else. Maybe we can groom people after once we have 10 years, 15 years of a steady coalition. We can develop other people.
No,
But
practically, you're right. Absolutely right.
I mean, if you go back to the point that he did this, how can he do it alone? You know, he is a state chief minister. He was encouraged by. We was told he was and on paper, I have seen that paper. He has opposed this idea of letting criminals out of the jails. Then afterwards, it caught fire also in Kashmir because the word got out. So I don't want to go into. I mean, I would say you have a point. Don't go from one extreme to another.
Mm-hmm.
You think that Mehbooba, whom we made chief minister, what was she? You want me to give you her record?
No. We all know Dr. Swamy. We all definitely know. I mean,
so therefore, we have to solve a problem. You have nobody else but Farooq Abdullah, so bring him. Or his son. He's also a very smart guy. You can bring
they have an
son.
appeal. I mean, they have a reach in the sense that they recognized.
Yeah. No, they have a background. Yeah.
Jagdish ji?
Dr. Swamy, I mean, just wanted to know whether after normalcy and peace comes to Kashmir, Jammu Kashmir, will that stability of Jammu and Kashmir help us to tackle POK and China?
Yeah.
What is your take on that? And then in view of Pakistan slowly again sinking, so what is your take whether a stable Jammu and Kashmir will help us handle these two big issues?
Well, if once you have stabilized and you got democracy in Kashmir, you will find that the people of POK themselves will revolt. There has been revolt. We have ignored them. We are not even allowing it to be published in our newspapers. In their capital city, there have been huge demonstrations. And demonstration Hindustan Jindabad with posters saying Hindustan Jindabad. We have not looked at it. The same thing in Baluchistan. So I think once we have solved the problem of Kashmir and have got it moving on a self-reliance basis, I think as far as POK is concerned, and we need POK because it takes us straight to the border of Afghanistan. Then we get a direct link to the Pakistan. We can then prevent China from connecting from Xinjiang to Iran or to the Gwadar port. So that is one. As far as China is concerned, all the problems that we have with China is in our brain. We are totally frightened of them. They have to cross a huge mountain range and cross across and come here. The Tibet is a very poor for their logistics. They have to do everything. They have to bring everything from Sichuan province and Gansu province far away, and it has to be brought down. They're building railway lines. They're building aircraft, aerodromes, and so on, because they have to bring all the substances. No Chinese army can fight more than 15 days, and we can thrash them. And we have done it in the past. after the 1962 collapse, which was entirely Jawaharlal Nehru's. In 1967, in the Sikkim area of that Nathula, the Chinese came down. Our chaps took tanks up the mountains and thrashed them. Then we didn't publicize it. Then when Rajiv Gandhi's time, Sundurung Chu Valley, you see, in Arunachal, we gave such a thrashing to the Chinese that it was reported in the world, but none of the Indian papers. So I asked Rajiv Gandhi, why you didn't publicize it? It'll just get great provocations, you see. And then he said, oh, people will start dancing in the streets and so on. And, we thought that, let China know that this is a new India. That new India concept, today we are shivering. Koi aaya nahi, koi gaya nahi. What do you mean by koi aaya nahi, gaya nahi? It's an outrageous lie. No prime minister should utter such lies. You see, they are down there. They are taken 4,000 square kilometers of Depsang, and they are wanting to take over Chushul airport. The Chinese, they are playing with us like they, like a wolf will play with any bird. You see. Before killing it. So I think, therefore, meeting China, you need weapons. And that weapons can be only given to you by the Americans. The Russians are junior partners of China. We are living in the past. People talk about how Russia has always helped us. Russia only came into existence in 1992. What help did they give after 1992? I want to know. Before that, Ukraine was also part of Soviet Union. Russia was part of Soviet Union. Armenia was part of Soviet Union. How can you say Soviet Union is Russia? So therefore, people are thoroughly either brainwashed or on the payroll. Every day I get only abuse from them, but they are not able to counter my arguments. So I ignore them and block them. So therefore, I would say we have no problems. We had an internal problem. We have solved most of the internal problems in the Northeast. Now we must solve this Kashmir problem, and then you see what we can do. Meantime, maybe Pakistan itself will shoot itself on the foot and become 4 countries. So we won't have any problem taking what we need to take.
So, Dr. Swamy, finally, one of the questions. One question. Okay, go ahead, Jagdish.
Dr. Swamy, one of our viewers would like to know whether the occupation or regaining POK should happen after the democratic process in Jammu and Kashmir is completed or before it.
No, I should. Yeah, I understand. Shall I say it in Hindi?
Yes.
देखिए, जहाँ तक पीओके को वापस उसको भारत देश के हिस्सा बनानी है, उसके पहले एक चित्र सबके सामने आनी चाहिए कि हिंदुस्तान में हिंदू मुस्लिम दोनों साथ मिलकर काम कर सकते हैं. हाँ, 80% हिंदू है, तो हिंदू का यानी संख्या में एक पोजीशन बन जाती है, परंतु फिर भी हमारी परंपरा है कि सब रास्ते से भगवान प्राप्त हो सकता है. हम किसी का अपने मेरा ही रास्ता ठीक है, बाकी सब यानी कफीर हैं, ऐसे तो से कहने वाले लोग हम नहीं हैं. और कश्मीर में हमें करके दिखाना है. हमें तो कश्मीर को अपने केंद्रीय सरकार के नीचे 1000 साल रख सकते हैं. हमारे पास वो ताकत है. वहाँ कमजोरी वहाँ कश्मीर में ऐसी है, परंतु हम नहीं चाहते हैं. हम तो लोकतंत्रीय देश हैं, सबकी राय को लेनी है. तो इसीलिए एक नमूना दिखाना है, एक उदाहरण दिखाना है कि हम लोग मिलकर काम कर सकते हैं. हाँ, जरूर हिंदू के जो हित है उसको कभी हम नज़रअंदाज नहीं रखते. आर्टिकल 370 पर मैं कभी नहीं, 1 मिनट भी मैं इसमें मुलायम नहीं हुआ, ठंडा नहीं हुआ. वो पहले जाए, वो गया. अब इसके बाद जो बनानी है कश्मीर जैसे दूसरे प्रांत जैसे, वो तो इसलिए ये पीओके तो कश्मीर बनने के बाद पीओके में क्या होगा वो तो सबको पता लग जाएगा, और लोग वहाँ स्वागत और भी ज़्यादा करेंगे हमारी. तो करना चाहिए बाद में. और फिर चाइना का तो कभी भी कर सकते हैं, पर तो हथियार चाहिए। इस हथियार के लिए हमें सिर्फ यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स ऑफ अमेरिका से मिल सकती है। मैं नहीं कहता हूँ कि हम यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स के साथ गठबंधन करना चाहिए। मैं ये कहता हूँ कि यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स की लड़ाई चल रही है चाइना के साथ, और रशिया के पर हम भरोसा नहीं कर सकते, क्योंकि वो चमचे हैं चाइना के। कौन सी ऐसी बात है जहां उन्होंने चाइना का विरोध किया? हमें क्या कहते हैं, हमें बहुत मदद किया, हमें ये भेज दिया, वो भेज दिया, बट आपने बताया कि हमें कि चाइना ने आक्रमण किया? हमने उनसे पूछा था, रशिया से, अप्रैल 16 2020, उस समय चाइना की फौज इकट्ठी हो गई देपसांग में। तो हमने पूछा, रशिया ने क्या हमें बताया कि नहीं नहीं, ये तो कुछ आक्रमण नहीं है, ये तो ड्रिल्स चल रहे हैं, ड्रिल्स, आर्मी एक्सरसाइज चल रहे हैं, ये चले जाएंगे। ये कहीं नहीं गए, वहीं बैठ गए हैं, वहीं कंटोनमेंट बना दिया। झूठ बोला हम लोगों को। पर यहाँ वो रशिया के यहाँ चमचे बहुत है इंडिया में, क्योंकि इतने सालों से, परंतु वो रशिया सोवियत यूनियन नहीं है। ये एक तो छोटा सा टुकड़ा है जो आज जहाँ एक एक मासूम देश की इस प्रकार से आक्रमण कर रहे हैं कि सब ध्वस्त कर रहे हैं, हॉस्पिटल्स ध्वस्त कर रहे हैं, स्कूल्स को ध्वस्त कर रहे हैं। कौन सी लड़ाई कर रहे हैं वहाँ? ये है कहते हैं कि हम सुप्रीम कोर्ट सिक्योरिटी काउंसिल के हम परमानेंट मेंबर हैं, हमारी वीटो है। तो इस तरीके से आप एक छोटी देश की पिटाई करोगे और पीट भी नहीं सकोगे, तुम तो हार रहे हो। एक एक दिन आप देख रहे हैं कि रशिया पुल आउट कर रही है, उनके जितने जनरल्स मर गए हैं, और अभी तक वो कैपिटल सिटी ले नहीं सके, और अब विड्रॉ कर रहे हैं कैपिटल सिटी के आसपास जो उनकी फौज थी। तो इसीलिए मैं कहता हूं कि अपने बल पर खड़ी होनी चाहिए, अपने काम पर, लेकिन सौदा करनी चाहिए। और अमेरिका से सौदा करोगे तो अमेरिका सदा के लिए सही करेगी, क्योंकि अमेरिकन का मेंटल है गिव एंड टेक। तुम टेक करने के लगोगे तो, और गिव नहीं करोगे तो कहते हैं ये लोग हैं, लालची लोग हैं, इनको ठीक करना है। और यदि हम उनको देते हैं और कुछ मांगते नहीं है तो लगेंगे ये तो बुद्धू लोग हैं, इनको इनका कुछ करना नहीं है। तो लो लेना है, देना है। चाइना क्या चाहती है, अमेरिका क्या चाहती है कि हम चाइना के मुकाबला में खड़े होने के लिए तैयार हैं। बस इससे ज़्यादा अमेरिका नहीं चाहती हमसे, और वो दे देना चाहिए, क्योंकि चाइना ने हमारे देश की आक्रमण की है।
Thank you, Dr. Swamy. Jagdish ji, Arvind ji, you can conclude.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, before Arvind, one good question is coming. Dr. Swamy, what kind of investment incentives, or how do we say, like for example, a couple of suggestions was having big companies like the TCS or somebody, or start setting up. Is the environment conducive enough to start up industries in Jammu and Kashmir?
Oh, definitely. All you have to do is make an announcement. You're welcome. We'll give you land, without any hesitation. Within the first day of your arriving, we'll make a land deal on you. And then you want the electricity, you want this, all these will work out, and they themselves will do it. You see, no, if industry is ready to come, provided you give them security. That's all.
Okay. Sorry, Arvind, go ahead.
Okay.
Were we to get our team members to give reaction?
Yeah, sure. Ask them if there's time.
Yeah, we have just crossed 75 minutes from our new norm, which is 60 minutes actually.
We started off with 45. We slipped to 60, now 75.
Okay, we can conclude then. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, as we have seen from the views expressed by Dr. Swamy and questions put forward by our colleagues Jagdish Shetty and Ramesh Swamy, and some questions taken from viewers, this subject is very broad subject, but our focus today was peace will return to Kashmir or not, whether normalcy returning to not, and Dr. Swamy has pointed out, the religious harmony must be there before peace returns, which has made a beginning now. Progress, prosperity, investment, employment opportunities, and side by side the political stability. All these things are necessary in the short run. And how short is the short run? Maybe about 2 years. And by that time, we will have to 2024. And in the long run, of course, our control of POK and maybe some kind of treatment given to the irritant Pakistan, that will also be necessary. But that is, maybe it can wait till the short-term peace returns to Valley. And Valley is not only Srinagar. Valley is not only Pahalgam and Gulmarg. Valley has other small towns. So roads must be built. Railways is not so much possible in Kashmir because of the structure, but roads must be built. Infrastructure must be built, and these roads and infrastructure building will also create a lot of job opportunities. And along with tourism, this kind of infrastructure development will also create prosperity. Thank you, Dr. Swamy, for giving your views on this Kashmir. And of course, it flows from your visit yesterday to celebrate the Navre, the Kashmiri Pandits' New Year, in fact, Hindi New Year, which is celebrated throughout India, in many parts of India, and including Kashmir. And it has given a boost to the confidence of Kashmiri Pandits who were willing to return. And even yesterday, for your program, several people came exclusively to be the witness of this program. Thank you very much for yesterday's visit to Srinagar, as well as our discussion today. And thanks, Jagdish Shetty ji. Thanks, Ramesh Swamy ji. Thanks to the technical team led by Ashish Shetty, Swaminathan, Tejas, Navalgul, Gadgi Rakesh, Ishwar Iyer, Ashish, and Vishal Mehta. We will be meeting next Sunday again with a new topic and Dr. Subramanian Swamy, and if required, maybe a new expert member, as we normally have. And our viewership is swelling week by week. We will be completing, if according to the Hindu calendar, next week we will be completing 2 years, because we started this program on Ram Navami, and we will be completing 2 years on Ram Navami. According to the English calendar, we have already completed 2 years. 2nd April 2020 we started, and today is 3rd April. So thank you, viewers, for supporting us.
Arvind, before you conclude, our team members are there. We just display them on the screen, Ramesh.
Yeah, Tejas can join, Ashish Shetty can join, others who are there,
Ramesh,
they can join, and let viewers also know the team behind the successful show.
Ramesh?
Yeah, Jagdish, but they're not all on video, so there's no way I can.
Fine, thank you. Okay.
So maybe Jagdish, next week when we have the Ram Navami episode, or closer to Ram Navami, we'll invite all our background people who are behind the success of this program. Thank you very much, viewers. Thank you, Dr. Swamy. Thanks again to my colleagues. Namaskar. We'll be meeting next Sunday, 8 p.m. Till then, Namaskar. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.